All right, coaches. I thought we would go ahead and get started. For those of you guys who are gonna want to join in tonight, I don't know how many people are gonna come. I just thought it would be something cool to do. So, if you're here and you're waiting and you wanna chit chat or whatever, I'm gonna hang around for a little while. I've got to be up real early and go to 7 on 7 in the morning. So it's figured I would do something kind of football-y and so let's see if we can get this thing working. So if you got a question or anything, you can definitely drop it in the comments. I'll answer some stuff. I thought maybe we could start with just some cut ups and some different things like that. Um, I get a lot of questions about a lot of different things, and so it's really interesting for me sometimes to to talk about even um, simple things like play call sheets are things that I get asked about all the time, and it's really kind of um, and let me get over here so I can show you what I'm talking about. But just like this is the play kind of the play call sheet that we used when I was at my last head coaching job, and you can kind of see where we just had. I got to where I started grouping things by number. I mean, by formation versus anything else. I always thought that was the easiest way to do it. Um, there's other ways to skin a cat, obviously, but for me, doing it by number was always I mean, by formation was the easiest way, and you can see here. We just kind of we at this point we were doing some orbit stuff and move and just a little bit of different variations on things, and so I set our play call sheet up, by formation, and you can see there we had our down and distances and stuff like that. But that was 3 4 years ago, and I kind of started doing that because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do, and it just became more tedious than really what I thought it was worth. I don't know. I'd be interested to see what some of you guys think about that because it's interesting to me to see how everybody else does things as much as it is for me to do things myself because um, I can go in here and find 900 different play call sheets, 900 different wristbands, and different things that I've used over the past, and it just for me it was just let me do this. But you can kind of see we had our hammer was our 2x2 was our special goal line formation that we used. We had the old go for two chart, which I think is probably about the only thing that we make sure that we still do these days, is because that's just one of those things where it's just kind of now with the new rule, the time rules, depending on where you are. But doing that and just having that handy and not trying to figure it out on the fly, especially if you got to call a fast timeout or anything like that, is really cool. So, I've got some stuff on the channel where we talk about play call sheets, and that's just one of those things where it's interesting because that to be fair, and I think it's because when you watch TV, you see, Coach Riley and Coach Leach and those guys, and they're all being, they got those little credit card size things, and people are like, oh my god, what are they doing? How, I can't believe they're using those little things like that, and then you realize, well, that's what it is, and then like here's one for instance, like this is an old Tony Franklin call sheet for those of you guys who've been in the Tony Franklin system. But this is like a 2006 Tony Franklin call sheet, and you can see where he has all kind of different stuff, and his is kind of set up by his tags. And what he does is and if you've ever seen his stuff, it's all based on Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that. um, but what you see when you do that is let me let it get load back up. But he does it by play, and this particular one came from a high school, but you can see that they had like their wheel tags, their pyramid tags, all their different rodeo lasso, stick, wide corner, hitches, and then it's built based on the formations. Um, so that's an interesting, tag. And guys, if you have any questions, man, just feel free to type it in the chat box. Um, there's probably about 10 of us in here right now, so it's no big deal. But just like I said, we're just chit chatting. If there's anything in particular you want to talk about, I'll hang out and do that with you. But like I said, it just this one here, like mine was by formation, and then his is by play in this particular version. I think this is one that we've used several different times. No, that's a different one. And then kind of now what we do is just basically we have Joe will list the openers and then whatever our specials are, and then we have an overtime script. So we script overtime, and that's pretty much all we take on the sideline with us, because we are a wristband team. So we definitely use wristbands quite a bit. I don't know how many of you guys use wristbands, but for us, wristbands is a big deal. Just because it's easier for the kids, just to look down and bang. And I will tell you the two different types of wristbands we used. At one point, we were looking at wristbands, and when we first got started, because we got started so late, we actually, instead of putting like 95, we would put, for the X, we'd had an X wristband, and every position had their own wristband, and that wristband would tell him run a post. So it would just say post. He wouldn't know what the play call is. He would just say post. The only person whose wristband had the name of the play on it was the quarterback. And which is interesting because, I just put this out. We're doing a free Q&A on the 26th. There's 50 free tickets out there. You can sign up over on the website. If you sign up and you come in, I'm going to have, a couple of my head coaching buddies up that have been through several jobs, have been pretty successful. But we're going to talk about taking over a program. That's one of the things we're going to talk about. And because we started so late, and you see a lot of guys now on Twitter and whatnot who are getting, getting jobs in the middle of June and beginning of July, and, you got a month to get ready. So what do? Do you go in there and do a position wristband where it just says post, or do you take the time and just go ahead and teach everybody the concept and go with it like that? I've done it both ways. When I'm in charge, we usually don't use wristbands. I just go ahead and signal it. I think it's faster, but wristbands do prevent you from making as many mistakes as some people do. So I think that's important as far as that's concerned. Couple of other things. If you haven't seen today's video we dropped, we talked about 7-on-7, and I think 7-on-7 has its pluses and minuses. So if you haven't seen today's video, make sure you check it out. Here's another one that I kind of picked up from Tony Franklin's stuff. This is actually a middle school play card from back at the beginning of almost 2005 or something like that. But you can see this one is, this one is basically down and distance, 2-point plays, and then he actually has plays for each position, and that's pretty interesting. That's a pretty neat way to do that. I think one of the strengths of the air raid is the fact that you want people to touch the football. Having a script for how to get any certain player the ball, that's pretty cool right there. So in this situation, this play card, it talks about, okay, how do I get the ball to Z? It's talking about 60s, 92s, speed sweep Z, and how they call plays, which I think is pretty cool. Easy yards. I've actually not really studied this play card. I think I had a little bit of big time on this one because it was a middle school play card. But now that I look at it, I kind of like it. To be honest, I don't know. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. What do you think about having a play card that's scripted just for players? That's pretty neat. And then of course he has the cover two beaters, the cover one beaters. I mean, I don't necessarily put a lot of stock into that because once you know the offense, you kind of know that off the top of your head anyway. And I think that's kind of important. So if you're one of those guys who just who has to have that, that's pretty cool there too. So how do you kill cover two, and then you kind of build that into to whatever you're doing. I think it's kind of interesting on that call sheet there. But we talk about that when we're calling plays. If you haven't seen our theory of play calling course, in that course we talk about um, different ways to call plays and different ways to make you want to. What you look at on the sideline, and we talked about, for instance, how we look at walk players, and one guy will look at one side of the offense, the other guy will look at the other side, and we kind of do that. And it was kind of fun yesterday. Like I said, a lot of you guys know I'm coaching defense right now, so we're at 7-on-7 camp, and I got a chance to stand back there with Coach Salas and just look at some things, and we were messing around, and I looked at him, and I made a suggestion to him, and we scored on it. He looked at me, and he just kind of gave me that look, and it was so much fun being on the box with him and calling plays because it really was like a cheat code. When you got two guys who are really, really knowledgeable in the offense. So, for those of you guys who are young head coaches, man, give your coaches an opportunity to grow with you. And if you're a young coach and you're around some veteran coaches, be patient. I think that's really important. So many young coaches that I've met, have this idea that I want to go in there and call plays, and it just it was just one of those things where I'm like, dude, just learn your position, learn how to get a feel for the games, because so much of calling plays is getting a feel for the game. Let me see. There's a question in the box. I saw a video of Coach Mummy in his early days where he ran a lot of veer. Do you know of anybody currently running meshing air raid triple option efficiently? How would that play sheet look? I've said this a million times, Coach. Is this, I don't care what your running game is, as long as it's only three of them, because we work on a 3-day install. So for us, we're gonna have a run inventory and a pass inventory, and so we were running counter outside zone and Q counter. So we really had two blocking schemes. It was GT and outside zone. Um, as far as the triple option veer stuff, here would be my concern with that. And those of you guys in the chat box, if you have an opinion on that, jump in and let me know. But my concern with being a veer team and an air raid team combined is both of those offense takes a lot of reps to be good at. And so, where are you going to find time in practice? Now, if you're at a big high school where you're getting 24 periods of offense, 24 periods of defense, on Tuesday and Wednesday, and you got those kind of periods, then maybe you could do it. But if you're at a school like us where we get 90 minutes to practice offense and defense every day, I think that's going to be kind of hard. But, veer was the running game of de jour back in the early 80s. A lot of guys were running that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with it. You just got to be good at it. I think I worked with a guy named Greg Bryant, who was a really successful high school coach here in North Carolina. Matter of fact, his dad was a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, and Greg was a big option guy. And I worked with him for 1 year. He was in between head coaching jobs, and he worked on the staff that I worked on when I was a young coach. And what Greg said is, if you're going to be an option guy, you got to be an option guy. And I never really kind of understood that until we had a conversation about it one day. And he was saying, listen, man, it's one of those things where you can't be halfway pregnant. If you're going to be an option guy, you got to kind of be all in on option. And air raid passing game, while it's simple, it's very intricate, and it takes time to learn it. I think any of you newer guys would say that. So I'm not so sure. Kenny Simpson and them guys are doing some shotgun wing T stuff. I think that's okay. The problem with melding that with air raid, the problem with being a veer triple option team is just being able to how many reps does it take to read that three technique? How many reps does it take to be an efficient runner of that offense would be my only concern. I mean, some of you guys in the room, if you have a comment on that, drop it in there and I'll share it with Coach. But that would be my only deal about that. I just kind of feel like because that running game is very specific. It's not just a blocking scheme. It's a read intensive scheme. I think it would be kind of hard. I think that's why you don't see the navies and the armies and the air forces and those kind of guys. That's why you don't see them with these really complicated running games. I mean, passing games. You see them running waggle and flood and stuff like that, but you don't see them doing a whole lot of complicated four vert choice route type things. All right. Anything else about play calling sheets? Like I said, if I plugged in one of the jump drives or something, I have a bunch of them. I just don't. Like I said, we don't really use a whole lot of those. And so you can see, like for instance, this was our COVID. We played COVID ball in the spring, and you could see right here where this was our wristband. Um, we were running basically 12 plays at that time, and we would we had like, okay, if we signaled to H, they knew that the call was going to be Monday. So for us, Monday was just a day of the week was our drop back pass. And so you could see right there that H was our shallow, which meant the play side guy had a quick five. Then we had a bang eight out of the Z. Then we had a shallow, and then we had a dig, and then we had R running the swing. And so you see it, we put the progression on there just for the quarterback. And so and then for like one, our calls were apple or lemon. So it was a fruit, any fruit that had an L in it, that was our fast green left. And then our fast green right was orange or grape. So, we would signal that in, and the quarterback would go, orange, Nike. And if we were on a first word indicator, then we knew right then it was going to be fast screen. The offensive line knew it was going to be fast screen. And that's just kind of how we did it. But that was, we had very limited time. I had just taken over the program, and they did basketball first in North Carolina. So all of my skill guys were, still playing basketball. So we basically had a week to get ready for the season, and it was pretty stressful, to be fair. And but we tried to do it a little different, and it worked out. So you can see this is kind of our practice scripts. Just kind of told you how we were going to run counter, how we were going to run outside zone, ways we could do it. It was, and then we set up just different wristbands. And so as you could see, this is the receiver wristband. So he knew on H, X said 5 and out, shot H had a shallow. So we just, because it was short term, we did it by route. So instead of putting 5 columns of different plays, we actually told each skill person what to do, because we didn't have, it was almost like Sandlot, which was really terrible because we had a really good group of kids. And if we would have been able to have an off season. So I got that job in February of 2020. And then, 2 weeks later, I had my first team meeting. And then 2 weeks later, we got sent home for COVID. And then in our region, they shut us down completely. We had no summer workouts. We couldn't be around the kids, even if we were outside. Went back to school in the fall, completely remote. Could not meet with the kids for anything football related or anything like that. And then in the spring, we came back, and then they were they were remote, but they could come play sports. But then, of course, we had to do all the, 12 kids in the locker room type thing. And it was a headache. And then, in North Carolina and playing in February, you're going to get, crazy weather. And, I had one kid, one day it was 37, 38 degrees at practice. And then 2 days later, it was 80 degrees. And, he said to me, he said, Coach, I really think the weather in North Carolina is bipolar. And, and I tended to agree with him. I said, I don't know, really what else to do. So this is what we came up with. And, I was excited for it to work out, but it really was hectic, and it took a lot out of me, as a coach. And you can kind of see we even had those 3-play wristbands. So we had the pregame itinerary was in one, so you could see us arriving on campus, walk through, dress and tape, load the bus, depart for a game, so on and so forth. Captains, and then of course we had the checklist, make sure you don't forget stuff. And then we had our, this was my play call sheet. So this was what was in my wristband. So I had my 2-point plays. Then I had my reminders, throw the screen, throw the back, formations, don't forget trips. Then our catalog. This was just what we brought into the game. So we were going to run dart check, guns check. 3-4 stick, HY shallow, 6-6 stop, fast screen, action 5, which was 95 for us. And then just balance. We want to make sure to balance the touches early, late. So that really right there was my entire play call sheet. Because we signaled everything in, and that was pretty interesting. So going from looking at these things, to this was an actual game play call sheet right there, and that fit right in a wristband. So you could adjust something like that to what you wanted it to be. And so that's one thing I will tell you, as you watch all of us guys who are on YouTube and podcasts, and you go to in-person clinics and these kind of things, if you can come on with 1 or 2 things, I think you've won the day, so to speak. But you have to kind of make it yours. The only thing I would tell you is don't purposely make it yours for the sake of making it yours. If it works, don't try to fix it. Coach Mummy's notorious for that. If he goes and steals something from somebody, he'll name it after him. He doesn't care. He never cared about, the surge screen they learned from an arena team down in Orlando, the Orlando Surge or whatever it was. And so that's how it became surge screen. He didn't care what it was called or anything like that. So, just looking at these play card templates, I think it's kind of interesting to do that. Anybody have any more questions about that? All right, so let's find something else to look at. As you can tell, this was just kind of impromptu, with nothing on TV. So I said, let's talk to the boys about football. Let's just get on and just chit chat. And if I end up talking to myself, that's okay too. But let's see. You get all these Google. I don't know about you guys, but you get all these Google Drives and everything. You used to have like one thumb drive or one jump drive, and everything was on there. And then now all of a sudden you got all these, all these Google Drives and things like that. And it just like, oh my God, I got stuff here. And then you go to one that you haven't been through in a while, and all of a sudden you're like, man, I forgot we had that. And so it's interesting. It's like getting a Christmas present sometime, but. Let's see. Not that. I didn't realize that one was blank. looking for one particular thing, and I don't know what I did with it. That's the bad thing about having stuff all over the place sometimes, guys, is you can never find it. And then we get to the point where we get it where we want it, and then Huddle calls and says, "Hey, by the way, you have way too much stuff in your library, so you have to delete stuff." I don't know. I mean, you guys have to deal with that mess, but that gets on my nerves sometimes too. But it is what it is. So just kind of going back, going back to what we were talking about with. Let me pull this one over here so it would be in the big screen. Going back into that 7-on-7 type idea, looking at just how this is us in a 7-on-7 from last year. But this is just kind of how we do. We got guys out there that never been their first time. You can see them not knowing how to line up. Got one guy that's off the ball that should be on the ball. But what we're really looking at, and this is our slant reel. If you're really looking for a high dollar play, this is a great play. We kill people with this all summer long. And so basically how we do it is we read it from the boundary to the wide side of the field. So we'll read this slant here, and then we'll go slant, shoot. So you'll see the quarterback right here. He's gonna look to the slant to the right, and he doesn't like that. See how the walk player, if he would have ran with the shoot route right there, he could have banged that slant right away. But because that grass is full and cloudy, he's going to immediately turn back over here. So now look at this guy. You see the walk player is going to run with the slant. And so now the quarterback knows, if I can see his ear hole, I'm going to throw it right behind his helmet into this grass. And then he just has to trust that this receiver is going to see that grass, run, and sit down in it. And you can see right there, he kind of carries it. And this kid was a sophomore. So he's just now learning. He ended up with 75 catches. He's being recruited by some D1 people now. Matter of fact, where we were at yesterday, OC came down and watched him. He's a good looking kid, 6'1", 175, 180, runs about 4.5. But, generally speaking, what we would like for him to do in this kind of situation, in our 7-on-7 deal, is to go ahead and sit down right in here and catch that ball. All right, so he felt like because he had all of this grass that the ball was going to come through and he could catch it on the move and keep running. But, I mean, just look how easy of a read that is. And, that that's 20 yards down the field. So, that's kind of a big play. So here you see us again. We're going to do kind of the same thing. We're going to read it from one side to the other. So he checks it. He doesn't like the grass. He sees that guy's still a threat. So he's going to end up coming back to the other side. Now you see how he goes in there and finds the hole. They've backed the walk player up now because that's the area that we hit him in. So now he's just going to take his 3 steps. 1, 2, 3, bang. And now he's going to go find grass. Now, if he carries himself through, he's doing what we're calling running to his next problem. Okay, we don't want him to run to his next problem. We want him to sit it down right in here and just kind of get big. And that's what he does. And then, of course, we teach him to turn vertical. This is why settling noose is so important. So if you were with me the other night in our transition course, we talked about doing those drills and trusting those processes and stuff to those things, and it just really, really important that you understand. Don't run yourself to another problem. So you can see right here that it is to do that. That's kind of cool, and what you want to. I don't know how to get that off there. There you go. So you can kind of see right here, it's kind of the same situation. Let's go back and look at that last one. So we've hit them with this so much now, and that's the other thing that let's talk about is when we jump into 7-on-7s, we basically go in there and we're gonna run 4 plays, whatever the insertion day is. So this is day one insertion. So we're gonna run 96 choice routes. We're gonna run slant, and that's pretty much it. We're not going to come in there and run 18 different routes. So you can see we're going to run the same play over and over and over and over and over. And so he comes back, and then he kind of throws it a little late, and then what happens is the receiver here, he just kind of floats. See him floating. We'd rather him sit down in there. And it's not the best ball from our quarterback. He ended up being a 3,000-yard quarterback, and he's going to have an amazing senior year. And here's a play calling note. Watch this right here. So as we throw this, you see how that corner is running in like that to come make that play? This is where you call your slant and go. So if you're getting that right there and that guy's jumping hard inside, 1, 2, 3, on that next right when that next right foot plants right there, or the one before that, let's go right back. Right there, you want him to go ahead and stick it and turn it up the field. So we run a 7, what we call a 7 and go. And now that guy's jumping on that slant. Now you know that you can get in there. So here it is out of trips. It's the same thing. Now this time we run a double slant. So we'll run a 1-step slant, a 3-step slant, and a shoot. And normally on this, we like to try to get that backside guy if we can get it. But most people know that when you go backside, we had a really young kid at Z at that point, but you can just see how easily it becomes to do that because it just clears itself out. He runs out here with him. Now, if he would have stayed right there, the quarterback would have just come right here, and it's a nice, easy read of him going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's just something that we look at, and it's such a high dollar play. I've talked about this play so much. It's one of my favorites. Now, another thing that we're doing different this year, and we started doing this the middle of last year, is that we'll take this guy now and run him on a straight clean through vertical. Okay, we'll run him on a clean through vertical, run him on the arrow, and then run him on the slant. Okay. And that a lot of times what you'll find is the clean through vertical ends up being wide open. But if it works out the way it's supposed to work out, then here's what happens. This guy still takes the flat player. Now our receiver is going to occupy this safety. All right, so that means he's going to turn his hips and run. That means now when X catches the ball, this guy is now out of the picture, so you got one dude to beat. So a lot of times you can carry it right through here and get up the sideline and not have another guy do that. So that vertical route, that's kind of how we run it now is 2 runs of vert instead of the 1-step slant, because we hardly ever throw it. So here you can see us again. Now we should start on the left and work to the right. So he don't like that, but that's our slant and go. You can see it. We knew what was going to happen. That corner had been biting down, so we banged it, and there it is. And if we get a little bit better ball, it's a completion for a touchdown. It's just a little bit high. And then he's just kind of reading. If that guy stays outside, he's going to bang it and stay inside. But you can see that's a deal where the safety now has decided that he's going to try to, undercut that slant because you've hit it so much. And then right there, boom, pin it to the ground, get up the field, and there's your slant and go touchdown. So that's a really good play for us. Um, we also like to run some wheel routes off of this. So you can see both of the wheel routes being wide open because you got that linebacker. We haven't thrown the shallow slant at all. The walk player is away from him. They're both waiting for the X to catch the ball because he's been putting in work. He's running up the field, so you're going to run right past him. And if you get a good ball to the outside, it's almost impossible to stop right there. So, you look at that series. So we've run the slant, we've run it out of trips, we've run it out of right side, left side, and this is all the same 7-on-7. Now, we're not running a ton of different plays, and then you set that up with the wheel route because nobody's really paying attention. And notice the walk player is on the other side, so he's just going to read. He's going to just read that wheel route right there. Boom, he pumps it to him, and then just comes over top, and it's like stealing. So once again, here we are in early. Running our slant. He's going to read the short side. He likes that. Now, that's our dude. We probably shouldn't have thrown that ball right there, but that's our dude, so he's going to force it to him. Because, this safety sits right there. We probably should have been wanting to call pump again. And as you get more experienced with that, your receivers and quarterbacks will tell each other, hey, this is what you want to do with that. And it really kind of makes a big difference on that deal. So, anybody got any questions about 7? It's like I said, it's such a good play. And here you can see that this was this first, and this kid ends up being pretty good. He was a freshman, true freshman. This was his first day with us. We were basically telling him what to do. So you can see here we are running that vertical concept with instead of, he's supposed to run a one-step slant, but this is kind of how you learn about a play on accident. You see what happens if he runs straight through on that deal. If he runs straight through on that deal, now he's supposed to run one step and slant it in just to clear it out. But he did this on accident, and we started looking at it, and we were like, yeah, we kind of like that. Sometimes great ideas come from accidents. And but just see, look what happens. Look what happens if he runs straight through right into here. That's why I run in that vertical with that number 2 guy instead of the short slant that you're never going to throw. It's kind of a big deal. I mean, even then that was a completion. But if he just runs straight through on that, he's kind of back to that being a big play. We're still going to read, backside first. He doesn't like that. They're all bad. Look, we got 3 guys covering that slant because we hit it so hard. And like I said, we're only running one play now. We're not really doing anything crazy fantastic. But it's just one of those things where it's you just kind of keep going. And that one little concept there is just so big. All right, let's see. Anybody got any more questions about anything? Just any general questions, general football questions, head coaching questions. Like I said, on the 26th, we have a free clinic coming up. First 50 guys that sign up over on the website get to come in and hang out, and I'm gonna have about 4 or 5 head coaches in there with me. So you can, definitely go in and get the, get the free ticket and kind of hang out, and I think it'll be pretty cool for you to do that. There's going to be some pretty good guys in there, I think, and you'll be able to register for it over on the website here this evening sometime once it's all. I think I had the tickets set up at like 7 o'clock or something like that, so they should be available here pretty soon. But If not, just give it a day or so, and I'm pretty sure I'll tweet out more links on Twitter and everything else so that you can get over there and get that ticket, because it's gonna be Monday night. It'll be a very informal um, round table where we'll be able to ask questions and look at certain things, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And I'm looking at the website right now. For some reason, it hasn't updated yet, so we'll have to double check that. But like I said, you'll be able to register over on airraidnation.com, or you can go to Eventbrite, and we'll put links to that in the description of the chat. And just talk about, we're going to talk about um, a plethora of different things. Just how the interview process works. I've been a head coach 4 times. I've been very lucky to have some opportunities. I'll be honest, most of the opportunities I got were jobs that people didn't want, but I tried to make the best of them, and was able to win pretty much everywhere I went, to some extent. Some better than others, some overachieved, and like I said, I really was excited about this last one, but I felt like COVID really kind of put a dent in that. And most of you guys, if you first started out, got your first job during that time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it just we're going to talk about those kind of things, dealing with administration, dealing with booster clubs, dealing with teachers, getting teachers to help you academically, and I don't mean like giving you favors or anything like that, but just communicating with them and letting them understand that you really are there to help them with the kids, whether it be with discipline issues or just getting their works done. I mean, we're notorious, man. If we got a kid that's failing a core class, we'll put them out of the weight room. You can't come to weight training until your grade comes up. We'll put them over there in the academic lab, and they got to get their work made up or make up tests or do whatever they got to do to get their grade back right. And you want a quick. I'm gonna tell you what's worse than running them after practice. Put them out of the weight room. Don't let them lift. And when they can't lift and the rest of their teammates are getting strong, and for us, weight room is huge because that's where we build our culture. I mean, if they can't go in there and be with their boys during the day, and that becomes a real quick reminder of why they're in school. So I think that's always a good way to influence them to do what they're supposed to do academically in the building. So it'd be interesting. Anybody that's in here kind of watching, if you have any secrets that you use academically, we're really excited. We've only got 2 kids that are in summer remediation, for like a week to get their math stuff right. But so that's huge for us. I spend a lot of time checking grades and talking with teachers and chewing hind parts about why kids aren't doing those things. And look, I'm okay if something's hard. We all don't count the same. We all don't read the same. I'm all in on that. I mean, I work with special ed kids, so I understand that part. But there's no excuse for zeros. If you're getting zeros for classwork, that means you're in there on Snapchat and doing things that you're not supposed to do. That's pretty impressive. So let's see. Coach Yost is talking about, hey, can you talk a little bit about pre-practice, how you guys get started each day? We don't stretch. What type of drills do you do? I'll be honest, Coach. We start off with our regular stuff. So when we jog out. We usually meet before practice for a few minutes, especially on Mondays. Mondays we meet for a few minutes and talk about certain things, and then we go out to the field. When we get out there, basically there's a 3-minute period where the offense is going through something. Joe's putting in some secret play that he's got drawn up. And it's usually to make me look bad during competition period. And during that time, we're on the barrels defensively, just going through formations and stuff that we're going to see that week. And then we go straight to our special forces period. Basically what that is punters punt, kickers kick, returners return. and it's kind of a jog type thing. It's not real high intensity, but we're just punting the ball, catching the ball, kind of getting loosened up. Um, then we do our team practice periods, and then we just get after it, man. I mean, it's kind of like the old Deion Sanders thing. Have you ever seen a cheetah stretch before he goes hunting? And and then offensively, what they're doing is they're starting off with news drill. They're going to news drill, so they're going to get their legs warmed up doing news drill. And I know a lot of you guys have seen film of news drill. It's one of those things where it's not a high dollar. It's not a high dollar get after it speed drill. And if you ever see anybody doing it like that, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, just to be perfectly honest, because that's just not how it's supposed to be done. But let me see. I think I have some old school film of us doing it. We have a drill teaching tape that Coach Salas created a long time ago, and he's made a new one now. If you want to see his new stuff, all you got to do is go over to his coaching course that he has. He actually last year when he did his course, he created what's the word I'm looking for? He created all new drill film off the stuff that we do, and let me get back over here so you can see what I'm talking about. He created all new drill film and used drones and everything. So you can see this is just kind of like a pre-practice thing. While those guys are out there waiting for us to get started, you'll see them just doing round the clock during the spring. Just doing little things. You see the quarterbacks getting loose, and then they'll do some of this stuff. But these are just kind of the individual things that we do to get loose like that. I mean, we're not running full speed. We haven't run a full speed route yet, so they're doing some foot fire stuff. And while they're doing this, the quarterbacks and running backs are working handoffs. So they're taking snaps and working handoffs and things like that for like our run game. So this is what's going on like real early in practice. Um, so here's news drill, and you can kind of see they're kind of working on the release. They're chopping it down. They're getting their hips open and working on getting vertical. So it's just you can see their foot fire, release with the hands, catch, eyeball to catch, eyeball to tuck. Getting vertical, coming right back down the pipe on that. So we'll do that, and as you can tell, like we still haven't done anything full speed. And so then you go from noose and stuff like that to routes. I mean to pat and go. And so in pat and go, that's just some more receiver stuff. But in pat and go, you'll see. Let me get to it. So here's just pat and go. They're just running nice, easy routes here. Well, this is routes on air. I'm sorry, but pat and go. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, here he goes. So this is just pat and go. So they start off with the bubble screen. So now they're starting to pick it up. So we've done noose. Now we're going to pat and go. This is it from behind. So you can see we got two lines. We got a quarterback here, quarterback there. And they catch the ball, and then now they're kind of three-quarter jogging it down to the other end. So this is how they're getting loose. So, I mean, we don't have to cow line stretch and do all that crazy stuff if we don't want to. We don't really do a whole lot of that other stuff. The only time we get into calisthenic lines is when we're doing our Bama drill, and that's when we're working on our knee thrust, our hip thrust and stuff for tackling. As you see right there, they're just catching hitches. Boom, catch. This guy right here should have turned to the outside, but then they're jogging it straight down through. So this is kind of how we're getting loose here. So instead of wasting our time, right leg, left leg, bottom leg, and all this other stuff, we're getting loose like animals get loose, like cheetahs get loose, like lions get loose, like tigers. We're not. They're not gonna say, "Well, let me." The only time my dog stretches is when he's getting ready to lay down. He's like, and then he lays down. So that's kind of how that works. But you can see right here, they're just kind of they're gonna run their route, boom, and then they're trotting it. So that's how we get loose. I mean, it's not a big big thing. And then you can kind of see now, and even when we're running the six call, we're working on trying to catch the ball over the outside shoulder. It's more about that right there is what we're looking for. So this is what we're really working on in pat and go, is this right here. See how he's got his eyes up like that? It's making that ball come over to the outside. That's what fades right. We're not worried about speed. We're not doing anything. And if the guy underthrows him, we tell him slow down. We teach him to gear down. We don't want him to turn and open up, because that gives the DB a chance to play the ball. So even when we're warming up, we're working game applicable skills. And even more and even funnier that we talk about all the time is that not only do we not stretch before practice, we don't run after practice. We don't condition at all. We condition the first 3 days of preseason, and you can get out of that by making 95% of summer workouts. If you make 95% of summer workouts, which means you're going to get your name on the back of your jersey. So if you make 90% of spring workouts, we have 9 days. You make 100% of spring workouts. So you have 9 days. If you make all 9 days, you get your name on the back of your away jersey. If you make 95% of summer workouts, which means you can miss 3 practices, we only have 15, so you can miss 3 practices, whatever that comes out to, 12, maybe it's 90%. You can miss 3 practices in the summer, whatever it is. Then you get your name on the back of your home jersey. If you qualify to get your name on the back of your home jersey, then you don't run those 3 days. So those guys who didn't come, then they got gassers and all that old school stuff, anything that we can to make it. And the other dudes just kind of sit there, hold their helmets, and kind of watch and have a good time doing that. And so then, like, even with this piece of tape, like if you look at this one here, and this is Lincoln Riley's quarterback wide receiver drill tape that he gave me when he was at ECU. But you'll see even the college guys, how they warm up. It's very much the same. I mean, this stuff doesn't change for nothing. So this is their settling noose. This is in the winter. But you can kind of see, I mean, it's the same thing, just getting our hips warmed up, same stuff. But even watch the tempo and pat and go. They're not getting after it. He's running a one-step slant, bang, catching it, taking off. This is how they're getting loose. They're catching balls, So this is kind of their thing. And like I said, just look at the tempo of what, and this is a major Division I program. I mean, this cat running this practice right here is the head football coach at USC now and won a bunch of games in Oklahoma. So, he learned from the best in Mike Leach. So you can just see this is how we warm up, and it's, and all this is really, it's in the practice schedule per se. We have about 25 minutes of this kind of stuff. So we'll do settling news, we'll do pat and go, we'll do routes on air, quick game, routes on air, drop back, and then screen drill. So that's 5 things at 5 minutes a pop. And then we get into Skelly, one-on-ones, and then inside and team. And we actually added an inside period this year. And if you want to see our practice schedule, go over to Coach Salas's channel, Coach Joe Salas, and he just did a video like a week and a half ago about our air raid practice schedule. And he kind of explains the same stuff. Did that answer your question, Coach? All right, let's see. All right. So I'm kind of fresh out of ideas without jumping into something huge. So if you have any more questions, man, I'll hang out for a few more minutes. We've been on for about 55 minutes, so I'll hang out for a couple more minutes if anybody has any more questions or anything in particular, man. But I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Um, let's see, you said you would do a skill circuit and pre-practice with 6 stations. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what we do, but we keep everybody together. So I mean, I don't know how many kids you have in your program. I mean, but we have I don't know. We took 35 to camp yesterday, and we probably were missing 15 varsity guys. So, but we practice everybody together. So we don't really circuit. We just everybody gets in and gets their reps. Um, we don't necessarily do. We actually do ball security stuff in our tackling circuit. So they're working on keeping the ball, not giving it away, and the other guys are working on taking it away. But we're really big on doing game stuff during practice. Like we don't like to stand around. Our tempo is really good, and that's why. And then once again, you kind of I talked about this the other day. Time is the time limit. Like, how much time do you have to practice? Do you have a 24 period practice? It's just like I said, I don't know how you could. I'd be interested to see how you guys have stations with pat and go, settle and noose, and all that stuff going at the same time. Um, we don't have enough guys to do that. So if you see the way that we run pat and go, I mean, you see that we got two big lines and guys are getting after it, and the quarterbacks are getting all their stuff to do it. But you can just see how we work everybody together. We don't really have a quote unquote an individual time, and I think that's the common misconception about the air raid is that you have to have these great quarterback gurus, these great receiver gurus, and stuff like that. But really, the most important coach on your staff is your offensive line coach. It's the only offense I've ever coached in as an offensive line coach that I didn't ask for more time. If you're coaching football and your offensive line coach isn't telling you he needs more time, then he's probably not worth a flip, or you're coaching the air raid. Because I can tell you, in any other offense, I always needed more time to work on trap steps, bucket steps, kick sets, all that stuff. So what we do, like during special forces, when the kickers are kicking and the punters and punting and all that good stuff, the big boys are over there doing their pass fundamentals. That's when they're doing their mirror drill, their bull drill, their push pull, all that good stuff. So they do all their pass stuff during special forces, and then when we get to when they're doing settling news, pat and go, and all that stuff, then they're over there. They're in the shoots, working their run games, working their combos, and all that good stuff. And then, like, defensively, we're doing our individual stuff. The DBs are doing DB stuff. The D line's doing their shoot stuff, and the LBs are on the left sled and doing key reads and all that good stuff. And then when we finally get together, um, we stay in group quite a bit. So, and we service each other. So our ones service our ones, and so on and so forth. And then, like, when the one offense is going in team, the one defense is serving, and then that means that the one JV defense is being serviced by the one JV offense. And so we kind of have them on both ends of the field. Everybody's going at the same time. So the only time our JVs don't practice with us is during team period. But they're in all of our drills and stuff like that. But, like, once again, we have 60 guys in the program. This year, because we had an epic year last year, we're probably going to have close to 70. Hopefully it ain't more than 70. I mean, and I say that facetiously only because we can't find helmets. Everybody we talk to say helmets are at a premium. So, and I think that's Baxter telling me it's time to get off the live stream. If you guys remember when I first started the channel, Baxter was a puppy and he used to love, but his bark was more like a yip. And now he's grown. He's 4 years old and he's about 70 pounds. So whenever he wants attention, he kind of gets it. But so here we are, man. We're coming up on an hour. Does anybody have any more questions, man? I appreciate you guys coming in. I think we had 12 or 15 guys come by, and that's pretty good for something that wasn't really planned. And like I said, on the 26th at 7 p.m., we're gonna be doing a head coach 101. Like I said, it's going to be a free ticket. All you got to do is go over to the website. I'm going to go check right now and see what's going on with that and why it's not where it needs to be, and get that fixed up, man. But I appreciate you guys coming in. And, if you guys want to, hit me up on Twitter with some ideas, and maybe we can do this again. It's the summertime, so we don't have to teach. And like I said, I got to be up early in the morning because we're going to East Carolina for their Beast of the East 7-on-7 tomorrow, and that starts at 9 a.m., and that's about 2 hours away. So all that being said, man, I appreciate you guys. Spin it to win, and have a great weekend.